Welcome to the Celebration of You. I'm your host, Holly Dowling. I'm thrilled to share with you incredible people from all over the world who are living and leading extraordinary lives. From overcoming immense adversity to discovering the secret sauce to leading with courage and grace. Their stories are going to bring you hope and inspiration. Now, let the stories begin. Hi, everybody, and just so excited to celebrate this amazing woman you're all about to be acquainted with, probably end up feeling like she's going to be your new best friend because that's how you feel the moment I met her. And before I dive into announcing and introducing this amazing woman, I just want to thank all the listeners around the world. And I know I paused to do this. The show would not exist if it wasn't for all of you in every continent, in the countries around the world who are listening and then sharing. And I thank you for the messages you send us that a guest really impacted your life. Thank you for all of those messages because that's why the guests are on this show. They have something extraordinary that can bring hope, inspire you, or empower you. And we never know what that's going to be. So as always, I always invite people that I believe have something amazing to share and people that have become my friends, whether it's short term or long term. So the incredible guest that I have to introduce you to today is the beautiful, the brilliant, and the amazing Jen Fisher. How's that for an introduction?
That's pretty amazing. I hope I can live up to that.
Well, I just think once they hear you, you're going to be like, oh, where is she? And how do we learn more about you? And by the way, at the end of this, we will tell you about Jen's podcast. She's got her own show, which is going viral and amazing. Jen, thank you, my dear, for being here. Love having you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, this has kind of been a long time in the coming, hasn't it? Didn't we talk about this? Yeah, like a year ago.
Exactly. I was going to say, I feel like it's been a year, but we're making it happen.
We are making it happen. And we've been through, okay, so let me first brag on you, and then we can take people down the journey. But Jen is the National Marketing Director for Wellbeing at Deloitte. She also leads Deloitte's Inclusion Center of Excellence. So for many people out there that listen to the show, and those of you that follow me, you know that I am incredibly honored and privileged to say that Deloitte is one of my just such a special client. And that's how I met Jen. We met through Deloitte, and yet what I didn't realize the moment I met her is beyond the brilliance and the beauty was this woman that has created not only impact. You, to me, Jen, are the walking testimony of when you have a passion that is backed by purpose, you break down walls, you break down stereotypes of what we've traditionally done in this huge firm and why we're going to break down some of those paradigms and we're going to open up a whole new pathway. You, to me, are the light, the path lighter. I don't know if you know that, but that's how I look at you. How's that?
That's pretty amazing. You're kind of making me sweat here. I got all these things to live up to now, Holly.
Good. Because you live up to them and you don't even know it. Oh, well, let's start with, will you share with everybody, just so we can start in present day, Jen, tell us about what that looks like for you. You're wearing a lot of hats, but tell us about Wellbeing at Deloitte and just this current world of what you're leading right now.
Yeah, so Wellbeing at Deloitte is, we at Deloitte have always been very proud of the benefits and the resources that we offer to our people. Historically, looking back around workplace flexibility, about maternity and paternity leave, which is now paid family leave, all of those things that people are looking for and hoping for when they join an employer. And about 3.5 years ago, my own personal story is wrapped up a little bit into this, but as an organization, really made a decision around everyday well-being and the well-being of our people and what does it look like or what would it require to build well-being into our culture. And knowing that we are a professional services organization, what we have is our people, what goes out to market to serve our clients and have creative and transitional and groundbreaking ideas for our clients is our people. And if we aren't taking, as an organization, taking care of our people or creating a culture or an environment where our people feel empowered to take care of ourselves, then we're kind of not only doing our people a disservice, but we're doing our organization a disservice. And so knowing that the way that we work has changed and kind of will continue to change. We're so virtual in many ways. A lot of us at Deloitte spend a lot of time away from our home office, away from our home, on the road. A lot of people still go into the office, and a lot of people work entirely from home virtually. And so we have a very diverse workforce in not just the type of the work we do, but in the way that we work. And so we really needed to and wanted to create this culture and this environment where no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you feel empowered to take care of your day-to-day well-being. As an organization, we provide incredible benefits and resources. We are there for people in the most trying times of their life, but we wanted to take it that step further and say, we're there for you in the day-to-day, the things that matter to you most when it comes to your own personal well-being, to connecting with your family, to doing, what matters most to you, to connecting with your friends, whatever it is, or however you define well-being, we wanted to be there for you and have your back.
And what's really cool is I'm listening to you say this. I've actually never heard it articulated the way you just did. Of course, you're instrumental in this entire journey that's happened. And yet what's fascinating, Jen, is that you guys not only, and I want to get to the backstory of that, because I love your story about what you were doing prior to this. And you kind of saw this and was like, we've got to place a stake in the ground and we got to start doing this. So it was kind of you and a group of people, right, that were very instrumental in creating this. But I got to tell you, and I don't know if you're so close to it, that there I am, serving and supporting all different parts of Deloitte, all different business functions, right? And I've been watching this totally manifest, right? So I've been, working with you guys for about 8 years, and to see this manifest and to see it go from, we're not just going to talk about it, we're doing it. And you didn't just do it at small scale. It's called go big or go home. You guys think big and then you did it. And it's fascinating because I get, the privilege of working with so many PPMDs and senior managers and directors. But I have to tell you that, you talk about well-being. I bring it into everything I'm doing with you all. And it's viral. And it's like you've given people what a lot of people, and let's just talk globally now. There's so many firms and companies that start with good intention. Think about it, say our people matter, and we're going to do this, but you don't see legs develop and it take off the way you guys have done this. And I just want to commend you. I mean, if I'm standing up, can you hear the standing ovation?
I can, yes.
Yes.
And I have to say, there's days I pinch myself still, we're almost 4 years into this journey and say, wow, is this really happening? Because thank you for your kind words, but it hasn't been a sole effort. I've had incredible support from the leadership of the firm, from our CEO and our chief talent officer and kind of everybody on down and everybody that I work with. It's really been, it's just been so cool to watch, so cool to be a part of, because it is something that, large organizations take a long time to change, and culture change is hard. And this is something that, I wouldn't stand here today and say that we have it all figured out. We don't. And we know it's a journey, and it will continue to be a journey as people evolve and needs of our people change. We're going to evolve and change to that. But the passion and the excitement, and the kind of deep belief that this is important and this is the right thing to do. I've been with the firm for 18 years. I've seen nothing like it. And so it's just been an incredible honor for me to be a part of.
And what's really powerful, knowing you've been a part of this firm for 18 years, think about that, right? And then I want to go to what you were doing right before, because I love your story. And then we'll tie, to me, everybody that listens to my show knows this, Jen, but I'm big on serendipity. You don't really realize what God in the universe, there's so many things that can happen in our lives, and it's what do we do to embrace it and make the most of it. And things can happen at the most unbelievable timing, which kind of ties your personal and your professional life together here in a minute. I don't want to miss something you just said, though. 18 years at this firm and then getting to be a part, and I love the pinch me of seeing something, to be a part of it, to believe in it, and then see it go viral. And what's interesting is being that I work closely with you guys, but I'm not on the inside, I'm on the outside. What I've seen is I think people, and I would say this goes beyond Deloitte, Jen, people are so hungry for this. It's like they're starving.
Absolutely.
Human beings are starving for this. And you guys are saying, we're giving it to you and we're not going to stop. Tell us what this looks like for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think society at large is starving for this, because I think that we have, for many reasons, and many of them positive. I mean, we just live in this go, 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 do more world, and we're constantly connected to our electronic devices, and quite frankly, we want to be constantly connected, and there's many positive benefits, but I think that we're also really starting to see kind of the negative not negative benefits, that doesn't make sense, but we're starting to see the negative of of all of those things, kind of coming to fruition in us, what happened to just sitting down and having family dinner,
Yeah,
those
right.
types of things, right? There's all of these things that have kind of infiltrated our life, and, this constant expectation, whether it's of our employers, our families, our friends, or even ourselves, to do more. That's just taking a toll on us. And I think, we all know that the number one thing that we sacrifice when we are stressed is ourselves, whether we're not getting enough sleep, whether we're not getting in enough movement or exercise, whether, we're eating, things that we know we probably shouldn't eat, or we could, be doing better in that area. And so we tend to sacrifice ourselves above all else and believe that self-care is selfish, where the truth is, if we're not taking care of ourselves, that all those people that we think we need to show up for, we're actually not showing up for them.
Exactly.
So I think we need to change that, turn that paradigm completely on its head, because I think as a society, we're suffering from that need to constantly do more, instead of saying, you know what, no, I need to take care of myself and then I can do more.
And I will just say, to add on to that, and you totally hit the nail on the head, is that I think that traditionally society, no matter where you've been raised, what culture or anything, and this could be gender or non-gender specific, what I'm about to say, but we tend to feel guilty if we're taking care of ourselves. We've not been raised in a society that says taking care of yourself is the right thing to do. It's usually the last thing to do, because then to your point, you're looked at or thought you're perceived as selfish. And, one of my favorite lines when I'm speaking to large groups or small groups, it doesn't matter. I say, this is your opportunity to be really selfish, because once you can be selfish, you can be far more selfless, because then you can be leveraged at your best. Right?
Yep, absolutely.
And nobody wins when you and I are exhausted and tired. And we are out there, making a difference in the world, Jen, and doing what we're passionate about. But we also have to learn how to take care of ourselves. And so it's one thing to practice what you preach, right?
It is. It certainly holds you accountable. I mean, there are days where I'm like, okay, would I ever tell anyone to start their day and go through their day the way that I've done today, and of course we're all a work in progress. I don't have it perfect. I will never have it perfect, but I do, I think, have a higher sense of recognizing when I've gotten it wrong. By my body actually tells me now, when I don't get enough sleep, look out, you don't really want to be around me. I'm not a very nice person. I know that. The people that love me know that, and they're no longer shy. I mean, I actually have coworkers that tell me when it's time for me to go to bed, because they want to make sure that I get enough sleep.
They don't want that other personality. It's like,
no, we'll be at a dinner and they'll be like, Jen, it's getting close to your bedtime. You might want to think about wrapping up. So, you start to kind of really recognize those things in yourself, and we're laughing about it, but it's very real. I mean, and it happens to all of us, and none of us, regardless of the title or what we're doing in the world, has it perfect. But if we can get it a little bit better than we had it before, and continuing to make small improvements, I think we'll all be in a much better place.
Well, and just think about no cliche, but what you just said, okay, this is the byproduct and the benefit of creating a culture that is now going viral around this awareness you guys have implemented, that you can say to your coworkers, we have an awareness of how we feel and how we're showing up when we aren't getting the rest that we need because our brains and our bodies. So just think about like that even minor conversation that can happen at a dinner, the awareness that we can even have those now, right?
Yep.
That's huge.
Pretty powerful. Yeah.
Very. All right. So take us back to your role. You were chief of staff for a previous CEO at Deloitte, and you kind of just armored yourself up. I mean, I love to hear your story. Tell everybody about how you went from one role to literally creating this monstrosity of a journey and a whole viral impact that never existed called well-being at Deloitte.
Yeah, so I was the chief of staff for a former CEO, and it's, you know, I give it all the credit in the world for being where I am today. But as anyone can imagine, it's a fast-paced, hard-charging role, and you know, I got into a situation where I wasn't listening to my body and my mind, and wasn't listening, you know, to the others that were pointing things out to me about what that I was kind of potentially moving towards a state of burnout, and that I looked very tired, and that I just typically kind of wasn't myself. And I wasn't taking care of myself at all. And I wasn't putting the boundaries in place that I needed to just be me, and to kind of just live my life. And, I think for me, it was, I'm a hard charger. When I dedicate myself to something, I go all in. And I wasn't really able or self-aware enough at the time to admit to myself that, that I couldn't be everything to everyone, and, take good care of myself. And so I had to admit that, I couldn't be the perfect employee. I couldn't be the perfect spouse, the perfect friend, the perfect daughter, the perfect sister. And, maybe I could be, but I couldn't be all of those things at one time. And so I was giving up way too much of myself, and I ended up burning out. I ended up kind of going to bed one day and not getting out of bed for a couple weeks, because I was, physically, emotionally, mentally exhausted in every way that I could be. And I did have people, including my husband, who, no one ever listens to their spouse.
Of course, right?
that pointed, that tried to point out to me several times that I needed to take some time off, that I needed to do, take care of myself, that I needed to get more sleep. And so it's not like anybody was forcing these things on me, or these were things that were required of me. They were expectations that I was putting on myself. And that I wasn't being kind to myself, and I wasn't letting myself off of the hook on things that, that I, that maybe I didn't perceive as doing so well, because, this vision I had of being the perfect everything. Perhaps if you'd asked the people around me, other than the fact that I was burning out, they probably didn't think I was doing as a horrible job as I was, or I believed I was,
Yes.
So some of that is the perceptions that we hold for ourselves, and the expectations that we hold ourselves to, which are equally as damaging, if not more. What goes on in between your two ears can be kind of the most damaging thing of all. And so, I was burnt out. I got burnt out, and I had to find my way back from that. I had to bounce back, as they say, and, figure out really who I was, and what mattered to me, and where I wanted to go, and what I wanted to do. And I was incredibly fortunate, kind of at that time. It was a transitional time in my career, and I was coming out of that role and moving into a different role in our marketing organization, working with our chief marketing officer at the time. And we started to have conversations, and she said one of the most powerful and most pivotal things to me that anybody's ever said is, you need to figure out, you need to take some time off, and you need to figure out who Jen Fisher wants to be. Oh. And I had no idea what that meant. I thought that she was, I just thought she didn't think I was capable. I went to all of these places that were places of doubt. that this was just, an easy landing for me, or that, she just thought maybe I would kind of take this role and ultimately end up leaving the firm. At the time, I couldn't see it as one of the most incredible gifts that anybody's ever given me, because she gave me the gift of space. She gave me the gift of friendship. She gave me the gift of mentorship. She was there for me. She guided me. She counseled me. And we had many conversations to talk about, what am I passionate about? What do I want to do? And what I kept coming back around to was well-being. And it's something that I've been passionate about my whole life, but something that I had completely let by the wayside. I had just let go. I had let myself get to this place of burnout. And I had recognized in myself that, even though I was going to the gym for 1 hour a day, I wasn't taking care. I mean, and I think this is really important, because this was such a kind of big wake up for me, is that, my definition of well-being was narrow, in that it was, okay, get to the gym for 1 hour a day. It didn't matter if I slept for 2 hours, went to the gym for 1 hour, and worked or did whatever else for 21 hours. As long as I got my 1 hour in the gym, I was good. I was golden. And maybe that did work for me for a period of time, until it, ultimately caught up to me and kind of took me down. Right. So I think kind of coming out of that, my definition of well-being, I learned to be a lot kinder to myself, but also my definition of well-being was, you know what? Some days I don't need to go to the gym for an hour a day. Some days there's something else that I need to go do. Like, I just need to go I live in beautiful South Florida. I need to go sit on the seawall and meditate and watch the water. Maybe I need to take a nap, or maybe I just need to sit on the couch and read a good book and cuddle up with my dog. It's not, we're human beings, and we're always changing, and there's so many components to what we need, and it's not always powering through at the gym. Right. And so I think through that process, I learned that, I did have all of these different needs as a human being. And so we started to have these conversations, and I said, I think that this is what I really want to do, for my career. And I said, and I think I'm going to have to leave Deloitte in order to do it. And, she kind of looked at me, because it was a face-to-face meeting, and she kind of had this puzzled look on her face and was like, well, why would you have to leave Deloitte? And I said, well, we're accountants and business consultants. We're not well-being people. Like, that's not what we do.
I know.
Not that we don't care about our people and we don't take good care of them, but we don't have well-being services, And she said, let me ask you a question. And I said, yeah. She goes, if you think that you need this, why doesn't everybody else need it?
Oh. Right. Oh my God, that gives me goosies, right?
Yeah. And I said, I didn't have an answer. I said, you're right. That's all you could say. And so we came up with a plan for me to put together my business case, is what this would look like at Deloitte, and how we would get it started, and kind of what the components would be. And I did that, and I met with many of our senior executives, and most importantly, our chief talent officer, who is my current boss today, who is very passionate about the topic and really very much believed in it. And, basically said to him, give me a chance to do this and bring it alive here at Deloitte. I think it's something we really need. And if it doesn't work out, then, we can have a different conversation.
We can always chat. Yeah.
But so far so good, because I'm still here and I'm still in this role. And like I said before, it's just been incredible to kind of see the passion and momentum and the impact that just the topic and the commitment to well-being has had on our organization. But again, I didn't do it alone. There's so many people that I didn't mention that have had an incredible role in this to help bring it to life. That, again, goosebumps, pinch myself, however you want to say it. But it's just been such an amazing ride, both personally and professionally.
Well, and we'll get to this here in just a second, because you also encountered a really pivotal moment, right, in your personal life that happened at almost as simultaneously the same time. And what I want everybody to know, though, that as you hear Jen talking about this, I don't want anybody to miss this, Jen, is that, this person that really mentored you, this woman that was there, she believed in you, right? She gave you, I was hearing the word coming to me was, she gave you permission to take a pause and an intermission for
Yep.
yourself to rekindle who Jen Fisher is. And really it's how can your soul be used at its highest calling? And the coolest part of the story is here you thought you'd have to leave Deloitte. And yet I love that her look to you was, if you need this, why doesn't everybody else? And when you think about, 3.5 years, this is like a blip. That is like nothing in the big picture when you think how long this firm's been around, right? And just when you think about impact that has been made. And again, back to people being starving, that I have to brag on you for a minute because of this and all the people. And I know there's a whole army of people that help make this happen. What I love about you is you were willing to take the risk to say, here's a spark, here's something I'm passionate about, and what could that look like, and build a group of people and really make this happen. But you now, because of this, you're a regular contributor in Thrive Global, and you also sit, this is kudos, girlfriend, sit on the advisory council for the Chief Wellbeing Officer program at George Mason University.
Yeah.
I mean, would that have existed 4 years ago in your life, right?
It wouldn't have. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I mean, it's so cool that when we choose to make a decision that is ultimately taking care of ourselves, but serving the world through the lens of your passion and purpose, look at the impact it can have. So I want to go back to share with us, because when I saw you, we don't get to see each other that often. And I remember physically being with you. Okay. I don't even know if you know this, but I will always get goosebumps because you and I were handing out the graduation certificates for a 2-year program that had happened at Deloitte, right? A bunch of leaders that had been invited to be a part of it. And you and I were together and for the day, and then you were handing out the graduation certificates. And I think it was around 2 to 3 weeks after that, correct me if I'm wrong, that you found out your life was about to take a different turn in your health.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Absolutely right. Yep. And that date was the date that was 2 to 3 weeks later was May 11th, 2016. And it's a day that I will never forget because I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
And I know you've told this story probably 100 times, but to the listeners on this show, I'm big on, this is why, look at the timing of learning how to take care of yourself. Oh, hello. Big time now. Can you take us through that May 11th experience and what has transpired since, because you're doing amazing, and advice you'd give to men and women out there?
Yeah. So, it was, I felt a small lump myself. And it was just after my 40th birthday, which I didn't think much of at the time. There wasn't really any breast cancer, actually, definitely not any breast cancer history in my family. And I was a well-being person.
Yeah.
I was doing all of the things that, they quote unquote say you should do to kind of keep cancer at bay as much as possible. I mean, I now know a lot more about that topic. So I went to the doctor, and, he was like, well, you just turned 40. So, I don't think it's anything, but it's the perfect time to kind of get a baseline of your mammogram. And I said, okay. So they sent me to get a mammogram, and did that. And, 2 days later, the phone rings, and, on the other line is the doctor telling me that I had breast cancer. And so it's, there's a lot of it that I don't actually remember in a lot of detail, because it's really just that like a bomb went off, like everything in that moment that you thought that mattered, everything that was on your calendar, everything that you had to do for them, like all of a sudden, none of it mattered, because at least for me, I mean, I processed, oh my God, I'm going to die. And so you kind of, you obviously, work your way back from the, I'm going to die. And it's interesting. My current boss, and he probably doesn't even know that he had this incredible impact on me, and he's had an incredible impact on me in many ways. But, when I called to him to tell him, I said to him, well, and I had been, the well-being leader for about 9 months, maybe a little bit less. And I said to him, well, I understand if it doesn't make any sense for me to be the well-being leader now. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'm sick. I have cancer. I can't be the well-being leader because I'm not well. And he actually said to me, and this is really pivotal because it's what changed me from kind of being I don't want to say victim, because I think that you have every right to feel like crap when you get diagnosed with some sort of chronic disease or something that you weren't expecting. And so there is absolutely a place for everybody to feel down and feel depressed and feel all of those things that we're feeling. But this moment and what he said to me changed me from I'm going to die to I'm going to fight and I've got this. And he said to me, you can't see this now, but it's one thing to stand up in front of people as the well-being leader and never have struggled with anything related to your health in your life. It's another thing to stand up in front of people and say that you have struggled and that you were unexpectedly diagnosed with cancer, and, taking care of yourself and all of the things that you did, helped you, get through this and get past it. And you're going to come out stronger on the other side. And that was I hung up the phone and I had tears in my eyes. And I don't even think he knows this. And I had tears in my eyes, and I hung up the phone and I said, I've got this. And that's kind of the attitude and the messaging that I went into, 8 months of chemotherapy, 2 surgeries, and 6 weeks of radiation and all the loveliness that comes along with that.
The loveliness.
But I had, that's the theme that I carried with me throughout, and it's become true. And now, outside of some sort of medical reason that they haven't been able to give me, that's what I carry with me as my why. I mean, it's given me a platform to help other women and other human beings in general, that are going through something unexpected, whether it's an illness or, some other event in their life, that really just kind of completely throws a wrench into where you thought you were going, or what your life was supposed to be like. Anyway.
Well, I'm sitting here with tears, of course, right? Because I know you, I love you, I respect you, and knowing and I know who your boss is, and I know him. And so, one of the greatest gifts is he may not know that phone call, right? What it meant for you. Mm-hmm. And I'm such a believer in letting people know, right? Even if it's somebody 30 years ago, let somebody know that they made a difference in your life, because we take so much for granted. So as your friend now, and regardless of being on this show, write him a letter or call him and just let him know that this moment, you just rekindled something that was so powerful for you. And the Jen Fisher we know, and I love that he said to you, like, what do you mean? Like, well-being is all about you're facing something that is forcing you to take care of yourself. And that's how many people just within the firm, not even talking about the world, we're afraid to talk about the things going on in our personal life. And what would people look at me like? The fact that you thought, how dare I now lead this initiative, right? I'm not well. I mean, and he flipped it all on its head for you. And I love that. And it's like, in the biggest picture of life, Jen, you were supposed to be right there in this moment. And unfortunately having to battle that, but you came out beautiful on the other side. You're not a survivor, you're a thriver. That's very important to me to use those words. And you are thriving and making a difference for people here within the firm, but everywhere. I mean, and he needs to know. Look, you got me to cry. He'll probably cry. I'm just going to warn you, right?
Well, and it's funny that you say that, because it's been on my mind a lot as something that I need to tell him. And so, it's great that this is on your podcast, but I think I better tell him before it comes out on your podcast.
Yes, please tell him, because he needs to know, right, that this moment really made you realize how important, and you could probably, I kid you not, you could remember where you were sitting when you were on the phone with him. Can't you? Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was that monumental, the moment you could recite everything he said, and then the difference and the fight you had in front of you, right? This was not a little fight of chemo and radiation. This was a long-term. And I have to commend you. I don't even know if you know this, but people that were close to you were forwarding me. You were writing these amazing blogs that were so inspiring while you were laying there getting treatment.
Yeah. And, I will say, that the common theme through all of my kind of pivotal moments and successes in my life and in my career, in particular, the ones we've talked about today, all come down to people. I wouldn't be where I am without them. And I've had the incredible fortune of having amazing leaders and mentors and friends and people that have believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself.
And isn't that the greatest gift in life, right? You could remember a few of these right now and these people. And so let's not let them be taken for granted. And I mean this to everybody listening, even if it's somebody that was 40 years ago that believed in you when no one else did. And I always say, even if they're not alive, send a letter to a family member to let them know how important that person was to you. There's just, as to why I have a show, Jen, called Celebration of You, and why I'm so passionate about appreciation and recognition, right? Does it all make sense now? I'm like, just...
It always made sense, but it makes even more sense now.
I have to ask you this question that I ask all my guests as we wrap it up with a bow at the end. And that is, when you think back on your younger self, and I always go to maybe 25-year-old self, maybe for you, Jen, it was 21, 22-year-old self. What advice would you give the younger version of you, who you were then based on who you are today and all of life's journeys and experiences and where you are today? What advice would you look back and give that young woman?
Have the courage to do less.
I think that's the name of your next book. Have the courage to do less. There we go. I'm writing it down. It's your mantra. Oh, I love that. I just wrote it down. Well, you are a gift. I just love knowing that I call you my friend, but also so much more than that. And for anybody that wants to reach out to you, Jen, and they can listen to your podcast, can you tell people the best way to listen to your podcast and the best way to reach out to you to learn more?
Yeah, they can reach out to me on LinkedIn under the name Jennifer Fisher, or on Twitter, which is @JenFish23. And the name of my podcast is Work Well by Deloitte. It's all one word, so WORKWELL, and you can find it on any podcatchers if you just type that in. And I hope you will listen in. And it's all about well-being at work, but really just well-being at life, because we all spend so much time at work already anyway.
Right. It is true. And to all of the listeners, you soon will have the surprise of knowing that I'm going to be on Jen's show. So you will learn some things that a lot of people don't know about me. So I'm always looking
forward to that.
Oh, look at you. You're like, ooh, this is going to be good. So now I just have to get to Miami, right? That's just an excuse to come to the ocean. What more do I need?
The invite's always open.
Oh, thank you for the time.
Thank
you for sharing your heart and soul, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me for another awesome celebration of you. If you were inspired by this story, please share it with your family and friends and hashtag Your Story Matters. I'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment on iTunes. And absolutely, please come to my website, hollydowling.com. Leave a comment there too, and while you're there, pick up your free gift. Most importantly, though, just remember that your life is a gift from God. What you do with it is your gift back.